You probably think you use social media. You open the app, you scroll, you watch, you like, you close it. Simple. But what if that experience isn't neutral? What if it's engineered? Social media isn't just a platform for connection or entertainment. It's a system carefully designed around human psychology. Every notification, every infinite scroll, every like button is built to trigger specific responses inside your brain. Not randomly, strategically. Your brain evolved for survival in small tribes, not for endless feeds and algorithmic recommendations. Yet modern platforms plug directly into ancient reward circuits, social validation systems, and habit loops. And when biology meets optimized technology, behavior becomes predictable. In this video, we're going to break down exactly how social media works as a brain hack, how it captures your attention, shapes your habits, influences your identity, and why it feels so hard to put the phone down. Because once you understand the system, you stop being unconsciously controlled by it, and you start thinking independently again. The invisible system controlling your mind. Most people think they use social media. They open an app, scroll for a few minutes, like some posts, maybe watch a few videos, and then close it. It feels like a simple choice. But what if that experience is not as neutral as it seems? What if the system is designed not just to entertain you, but to influence how your brain works? To understand this, we must first define what a brain hack means. A brain hack is a system designed to exploit natural psychological mechanisms in order to influence behavior. It does not require force. It works by understanding how the human brain reacts to reward, novelty, social approval, and uncertainty. Social media platforms are built on these exact principles. Your brain evolved in a completely different environment, one without infinite scrolling, instant notifications, or constant social comparison. It evolved to seek survival signals, belonging to a group, detecting threats, and finding rewards. Modern platforms take those ancient survival mechanisms and plug them into a digital system. The result is powerful. This does not mean social media is evil. It means it is engineered. Every feature, likes, comments, notifications, recommended content, exists for a reason. And that reason is to influence your behavior in predictable ways. In this video, we will break down exactly how social media acts as a brain hack, why it feels so addictive, and what it is really doing inside your mind. Your brain runs on reward loops. To understand why social media feels so hard to resist, we need to understand how the brain processes rewards. The human brain operates on something called a reward system. When you experience something pleasurable, food, praise, achievement, your brain releases a chemical called dopamine. Dopamine is not exactly pleasure. It is motivation. It tells your brain, this is good. Do it again. Now think about social media. Every like, comment, share, or new follower acts like a small reward. Even receiving a notification can trigger anticipation. You do not know what it contains, and that uncertainty increases dopamine release. This creates a cycle. Check the app, right pointing arrow, receive a small reward, right pointing arrow, feel motivated to check again. But here is where it becomes powerful. The rewards are unpredictable. Sometimes you get many likes. Sometimes you get few. Sometimes you see exciting content. Sometimes you don't. This unpredictability is known as variable reward reinforcement, the same psychological principle used in gambling machines. The uncertainty makes the behavior more addictive. Your brain begins to associate scrolling with the possibility of reward. Even if most content is average, the occasional exciting post keeps you engaged. Over time, this loop strengthens. You are no longer scrolling because you decided to. You are scrolling because your brain expects another reward. That is the first layer of the brain hack. Infinite scroll and the illusion of control. One of the most powerful features of social media is something that looks harmless: infinite scroll. There is no natural stopping point, no final page, no signal that says, you are done. The content simply keeps loading. This design choice is not accidental. It removes friction and eliminates pause. In the physical world, most activities have natural limits. A book has pages. A newspaper ends. A television program has a fixed duration. These limits give your brain a cue to stop and reflect. Infinite scroll removes that boundary. Because there is always something next, your brain stays in anticipation mode. It feels like you are choosing to continue, but the system is guiding you. This creates what psychologists call the illusion of control. You believe you are in charge because you are moving your finger, selecting content, reacting. But the sequence of content is determined by algorithms optimized for engagement. The system decides what appears next based on what is most likely to keep you scrolling longer. When friction disappears, behavior becomes automatic. There is no moment to ask, why am I still here? The design quietly removes decision points. That is another layer of the brain hack. It does not force you. It simply makes stopping slightly harder and continuing slightly easier, and over time, those small differences compound. Social validation and the need to belong. Humans are social creatures. For most of history, survival depended on belonging to a group. Being accepted meant protection, cooperation, and shared resources. Being rejected could mean isolation or even death. Because of this, the human brain is extremely sensitive to social approval and social rejection. Social media directly connects to this ancient mechanism. Likes, comments, shares, and followers act as modern signals of approval. When someone reacts positively to your post, your brain interprets it as social validation. This triggers dopamine release and strengthens the desire to repeat the behavior. You begin posting not just to share, but to maintain that sense of belonging. On the other hand, lack of engagement can trigger anxiety or self-doubt. You may start comparing your performance to others. Why did their post get more attention? Why did mine get less? This comparison activates the same social evaluation systems that evolved to monitor status within a tribe. The platform becomes a constant scoreboard of perceived social worth. This is not accidental. The system is built around measurable social signals. Your brain is wired to care about them deeply. Over time, your behavior subtly adjusts to maximize approval, choosing what to post, how to speak, even how to think based on expected reactions. That is how social validation becomes part of the brain hack. Emotional amplification and algorithmic bias. Another powerful way social media hacks the brain is through emotional amplification. The human brain is naturally more attentive to strong emotions, especially fear, anger, excitement, and surprise. These emotions signal importance. In the past, noticing danger quickly could mean survival. Today, the same mechanism makes dramatic content more engaging. Algorithms are designed to prioritize content that generates strong reactions. If a post causes outrage, debate, or intense excitement, people comment more, share more, and spend more time engaging with it. The algorithm detects this increased engagement and pushes the content to even more users. Emotional intensity becomes rewarded by visibility. This creates a feedback loop. Content that is extreme, controversial, or emotionally charged spreads faster than calm, balanced information. Over time, your feed may start reflecting more polarized or dramatic material, not necessarily because it is accurate, but because it holds attention longer. The system learns what triggers you and shows more of it. As a result, your perception of reality can slowly shift. If your feed constantly shows conflict or outrage, your brain may begin to believe the world is more chaotic than it actually is. This is not a conspiracy. It is optimization for engagement. The algorithm does not care about truth or nuance, it cares about attention. And strong emotion is one of the fastest ways to capture it. Short-form content and shrinking attention spans. Another layer of the brain hack comes from short-form content. Videos that last 10, 20, or 30 seconds. Rapid cuts, fast captions, quick rewards. This format trains the brain to expect constant stimulation and immediate payoff. There is no build-up, no slow development. Everything is compressed. When you repeatedly consume fast-paced content, your brain adapts. It becomes comfortable with quick dopamine spikes. But when you later try to focus on something slower, like reading a book, studying, or having a long conversation, it feels boring. Not because it is boring, but because your brain has been conditioned for speed. This is called attentional conditioning. The brain adjusts to the environment it is exposed to. If the environment constantly shifts every few seconds, your tolerance for stillness decreases. Deep focus requires sustained attention, but short-form loops reward rapid switching. Over time, the ability to concentrate deeply may weaken. This does not mean short videos are inherently harmful. The issue is frequency and balance. If most of your mental diet consists of fast, high-stimulation content, your baseline expectation changes. The brain hack here is subtle, it reshapes what feels normal. And when depth starts feeling uncomfortable, the system wins more of your time. Social comparison and identity shaping. Another powerful brain hack embedded in social media is comparison. Humans naturally evaluate themselves in relation to others. This helps us understand status, progress, and belonging. But in the physical world, comparison was limited to a small community. On social media, you compare yourself to millions. You see curated highlights of other people's lives, achievements, travel, success, appearance. Rarely do you see their struggles, failures, or ordinary moments. But your brain does not automatically correct for this imbalance. It simply processes what it sees. Over time, constant exposure to idealized content can distort self-perception. This comparison can influence identity. You may start adjusting your goals, appearance, opinions, or lifestyle based on what receives the most validation online. Instead of developing preferences internally, they begin forming externally, shaped by trends, influencers, and viral content. The platform becomes a mirror that subtly modifies how you see yourself. The brain hack here is subtle but powerful. It ties self-worth to visibility and approval. When identity becomes linked to engagement metrics, behavior changes. You may prioritize what performs well over what is authentic. And gradually, your sense of self becomes influenced by digital feedback loops rather than independent reflection. Habit formation and automatic behavior. One of the most powerful aspects of any brain hack is turning conscious behavior into automatic habit. At the beginning, you choose to open social media. After repetition, it becomes a reflex. You unlock your phone without thinking. You tap the app without intention. The action feels almost mechanical. Habits form through repetition in stable contexts. If you check social media when you wake up, during breaks, before sleeping, or when bored, your brain links those situations to the behavior. Over time, the trigger alone, boredom, stress, waiting, activates the urge automatically. You are no longer deciding. You are responding to a cue. This automation is efficient for the brain. Habits reduce mental effort, but when the habit benefits the platform more than you, it becomes problematic. Each automatic check strengthens the neural pathway. The loop becomes faster and more unconscious. That is why sometimes you open the app without even remembering why. The brain hack reaches its peak when behavior feels natural and effortless. You believe it is just part of daily life. And in many ways, it is. But the key difference is whether you control the habit, or the habit controls you. Understanding habit formation reveals how small daily actions can shape long-term patterns without you realizing it.